it really started to come to my mind, like, wow, how simple have I been like thinking about training and the human body. Same as the amount of weight, like we've been talking about exercises, and the amount of weight are only these tools, and you need to just learn to utilize those to the best of your ability so that they actually promote the well-being of your body. But for many people, it's turned upside down. So instead of the exercises being the tool, you become the tool to serve these exercises. You are the tool to lift the heaviest amount of weight or something.
What the exercise is not like so relevant. What matters is what is the purpose and what is your intention and what you want to achieve with the given movement. Everyone has like a different take on it, when in reality there's no like one exact way you have to do anything and you shouldn't do anything. Like the back squat, it has transference, but it has transference to really few like movements in.
And it led me on a worst path. So I developed even more problems in my body when I started to listen to this. And I didn't know any other option. I didn't see an option. I didn't see where I could take it. I didn't have any alternative. And so I feel like it keeps people at where they are. It keeps people from really opening up their full potential in their body. And it's just a bad advice in that sense.
Like all these powerlifters and all these strong men and all these really strong guys in that sphere, they were talking about like the joint pain and the injuries. They are part of the game. Like that's the price you have to pay if you want to get really good at back squats, which is absolutely false in our reality nowadays. Your body is the exact reflection of how you're training.
Hello guys, my name is Eero and I'm here with Samuli. We are the founders of VAHVA Fitness, and in this podcast we want to show our point of view on this squat debate and probably or hopefully end it for good. This kind of debate about what is the best form, what is the best squatting variation, should you always do it in one way or one particular manner. It's something that we still see. I mean, we've already talked about it in a couple of occasions, but I feel like right now it just pops out everywhere. And for me personally, sharing that type of information about one variation being the best or something like that is it's a bit misinformed, and I feel it's also partly irresponsible to spread that type of information. So we hope to bring on to light some of these problems that I see with this kind of raising an exercise to a pedestal. So, for example, when I started, or what I think like everyone that starts training, everyone who gets into training in the early days, what's the first thing that you're going to be focusing on? And that's going to be the exercises. That's what I focused on. That was like, you have like exercise for the back, for the chest, for the biceps, for your legs. You have the squat, bench press, bent over rows, and so on, deadlift. This is what everyone focuses on in the beginning because it's so clear to start training like that way. I was searching for books if I wanted to train like my chest, or I wanted to train my trapezius and latissimus. So I searched for the specific exercise. What is the best for this? And I feel like this is where it kind of begins, because in the beginning, you're not very confident in your abilities. You're not very sure how to make results from your training. So you easily try to find this kind of safe havens. People say like, this is the best way to do it. So you just kind of listen to it. You take it without the grain of salt, and just try to follow your best and do this one exercise. And if you don't get results, then you easily also blame the exercise that's the reason why you're not getting results, although it might be some sort of detail in the execution of the exercise. But I really start to think like, where does this come from, this need to try to oversimplify training? That's what I've been like trying to figure out. Do you have like experience on that, like yourself? What do you think?
Yes. Yeah, the problem with the squat debate today is that everyone has like a different take on it. when in reality there's no like one exact way you have to do anything and you shouldn't do anything. Like somehow the back squat has, and the few variations like the front squat and the back squat and then some other variations, they have been like pedestalized and put on this really high regard that these are the ultimate exercises for athleticism, and these are the exercises you should be doing if you want to get power, if you want to get strength, and if you want to build muscle. And as a result, there's always like these people, they do maybe a few variations, but they always do them exactly the same way. There's like even like long articles and long videos on how to exactly do the back squat right. Like they talk about, the ankle mobility and the knee stability and everything. And there's always the exact right way to do it and the exact way. And also, we also see lots of these different strength coaches like teaching. You should always be doing like a full range of motion. And then there's these other guys who are teaching that you only should be going 90 degrees in every exercise, back squat and every other exercise included. So that's why it's becoming like a very heated topic, and there's like because it's treated as like a holy exercise almost, which you shouldn't be like criticizing and shouldn't be like even offering like maybe other alternatives.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like people get divided into these kind of tribal camps. Like if I think about even in calisthenics circles, it may not be the back squat, but for example, there you have the pistol squat, and I remember many times I saw like people like swearing by it, like that's the best leg exercise that you can do. But if you go to the weightlifting, bodybuilding circles, then yeah, oftentimes it's the back squat. And I think one of the combining thing that is within, for example, these two, why people really want to do the pistol squat or why they want to do back squat. Well, first of all, back squat is like the way where you can load the most amount of weight onto the bar. And you can also have the very deep range of motion. And it just happens to be, like Samuli said, this range of motion, for example, the range of motion and also the weight is usually the number one standards that people have for good training. That's like the strategy for making results. So in back squat, you can get the most amount of weight, you can have the deep range of motion, and in that sense, it becomes the best exercise, because by the common knowledge or the wisdom, that would also bring then the best results. The more weight, the more results. The deeper range, the more results. And if you go to the pistol squat, I feel like it's the same thing. You can also go very deep in the pistol squat, and because you're lifting your whole entire body weight with just one leg, it also means that the resistance when you're not using any external weight will be the biggest in the pistol squat. So I feel like that's a very big thing that drives people into this kind of camps. It's just the incredibly simplistic idea that the range and the amount of weight are the most important factors on getting results.
Yeah, so, and that's the crazy thing, because people really think that, okay, if I just use the full range of motion, because of course in their mind it's better than anything else, and then if I just add weight and add weight and add weight, then suddenly like everything falls in order, like everything is like optimal in every possible regard. And then it's just, just keep doing it, and then that's how you get like athleticism, and that's how you improve, and that's how you build strength. But in reality, the only thing that will happen is that you will just break your joints, and of course you will build some strength and stuff. But in reality, it's very far from the optimal like training regarding almost anything, because it's just so limited in this approach that you follow.
Yeah, I think because what I think about in my case, like what opened up my perspective on the wider or these other ways of making progress, not just the weight or the range of motion. Like the first thing that happened to me was, of course, I started to experience a lot of issues in my body. So that was like, I think other people also have like these some ache, some pain, some stiffness. They're coming up, but not everyone reacts to that in the same manner. Some just want to keep on doing the exact same way, like push forward to the exact way they've been doing before, because I don't know, maybe it feels somehow safe. And usually in these cases, there's a lot of ego involved. Like if you are emphasizing weight or something, and you are emphasizing and really almost like protecting some exercises as really the best and the whole, it usually means there's a lot of ego involved. But in my case, I'm not sure why, but for me, the problems that were coming, they really strike me really bad. Like I knew that, this can't be the way. And so further up from there, it really started to come to my mind, like, wow, how simple have I been, like, thinking about training and the human body. And I see, like, there's some people, they really feels like they are kind of in this 2D world where they really move like robots. And usually the way you think about the body, if you conceive it this way, that it can only maybe do like this, or it should do, or it is fine to develop the body with just, for example, 6 different exercises, then that will shape your body to become like that. It will become stiffer. It will reduce its overall, I think, performance, overall movement ability. It will become, you will specifically go to that direction. But I start to really realize this, how 3D our bodies are, how multifaceted, like how multidimensional, like thinking about, for example, the hip or the leg development, the hip can move into the forward, backward, sideways, different rotation, combinations. There's so many ways that we can move. And I feel like the people who still keep insisting on this type of best variations haven't, for some reason or another, I'm not sure why, but have not encountered this type of reality of the body, possibly.
And they are not even they don't even know another reality exists. So they think really this is the only way to train. Because when I used to study all the back squat, like the material and everything, like all these power lifters and all these strong men and all these really strong guys in that sphere, they were talking about like the joint pain and the injuries. They are part of the game. Like that's the price you have to pay if you want to get really good at back squats, which is absolutely false in our reality nowadays. But back then, when I used to study what they say and what they teach, that was like the common thing. And I was like, okay, then I just need to somehow, try to work around it. And if I get pain, then I should try to do something, like maybe get like surgery or injections or something. But anyway, that was the one aspect of the reality. And like you said, like your body is the exact reflection of how you're training, and how you move is the exact reflection of how you're training as well. Like if you're doing like any exercise with a bad form, your body will develop exactly the way you do the exercise. So you will be developing really bad movement quality, really bad movement patterns. And likewise, if you focus on just 6 exercises or 10 exercises even, then you will also only move as well as you have been trained your body to move. And that's a big problem with this very narrow and simplistic mindset as well, I would say.
Yeah, I feel like there's if first of all you don't see like all the possibilities, or you don't have like full idea of the functional capacities of the body. So that's the first thing. And then you like normalize the issues that are coming. So they're just like normal part of the game. So that makes, sense, like why some people cannot even encounter these weaknesses or some of the deficits in the body, because they are thought that that's just normal. So I'm very happy that I didn't, myself got into that mindset, because for me, the intuition told me immediately, like, this is not good. But, it's not only about this experiencing something, pain like that, but I feel like also, going into, for example, martial arts and MMA and doing a lot of this kind of striking sports as well, that also brought another aspect. It brought this kind of reality through which I was able to like really understand also the performance of the body better. And this also showed how many things, how versatile movement the body has to be capable of doing. How many different like these kinetic chains can you use in your body? And also in relation to that type of reality that I experienced in this MMA, kickboxing, boxing, it also showed me that this kind of approach of like doing or thinking that this holy exercise of deep back squat, for example, it became nonsense because it doesn't help you much when it comes to that type of well-rounded, extremely well-rounded performance.
Yeah, like what they don't know that the back squat, it has transference, but it has transference to really, really few like movements in, like for example, MMA, and it's mostly in wrestling. When you try to take someone up from the ground and do a takedown, then the back squat will be really helpful because it's almost the exact same movement pattern. But for like general strength training, just focusing on the back squat, I think it's like a horrible recipe for success. But the crazy thing is that that's the exact recipe everyone is using nowadays, like almost everyone. Like if you want to do strength and conditioning for any sport, most people, not all coaches, but most coaches and most trainers, they just focus on the heavy deadlifts, heavy back squats, and they also do it with heavy weights as well. And they think, because these are the holy exercises, which are good exercises, but there's just few exercises among like hundreds. But they think because these are the holy exercises and they have been proven by few studies that they improve performance. That's why they think they are really the best exercise the athlete should be doing. And what happens is that the athlete focuses on these exercises, and in result, this is caused more wear and tear, and they're not training like the optimally at all. Like, of course, they will get results, but it's like there's a difference between medium results, like okay results, and the best results. And what we are trying to achieve with our training is to get the best results, like the most optimal results, not like the average okay results, which cause wear and tear as well.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to that, I feel like what most people in these sports and even in the MMS, when it comes to strength and conditioning, the focus is on that level of the exercise. So, it still is most important, like what kind of exercise selection you do. And perhaps you also focus on the intensity, on the volume, and, how many repetitions, how many sets, what is the programming. So it's and this is, of course, is a useful level, it's a good level that needs to be there for you to start making results, but it gets much deeper from that. It goes on to the level of the principles, of the methodology, and what we have realized already for a long time, and what we're trying to bring out in everything is that it is not what you're doing, but it's always like, how are you doing the thing? So you can have like so many different exercises, even like if you choose to do multiple exercises. So you have a lot of variety, which is good, but the variety alone is not enough if you really don't know how to use this exercise properly. And when it comes to this kind of strength and conditioning for athletes who are doing really this year after year, like just back squats and emphasis that weight increase, which can easily lead to imbalance, injuries and such, it's not only that you're doing this simplistic exercise, but you also don't even properly know how to utilize this exercise. Back squat can be used in a very good manner. It can be used to make good results as well. But the emphasis over the weight, the poor form, and all of this is bound to really cause so much troubles in the body in the long run.
And the crazy thing is that many of these athletes, because they have the competitive nature in them, so they always, want to do the best and they want to, reach the highest level. So when these same people who have the competitive nature in them, they go do powerlifting like back squats and deadlifts, they're like immediately, I want to lift the most amount of weight and do it as often as possible.
Yeah.
Like I see it in sports all the time, like even lately, like the John Jones in MMA, like one of the most legendary mixed martial artists of all time. For the past few years, he has been like focusing on powerlifting like a lot, like constantly, and lifting the heaviest weights possible. And his like performances have gone worse every year after year. Like he has never looked worse than he has looked in the past 2 years. And for the last 3 years, he has been focusing on like heavy lifting, powerlifting. So I'm not even sure like if it's for that kind of elite athlete. I'm not even sure if it's like really like a positive training at all, because even the John St. Pierre, GSP, he's not a legendary MMA guy. He has like a different perspective. Like he doesn't even think back squat transfers to MMA. And he also believes that the strength training should be therapeutic and not, focus on so much on strength and etc. And
Right.
That's true as well. Because our training is also like all about, taking care of the body first and then building strength and athleticism and power. And then another point I want to touch on, which you talked before, is that the crazy thing is that like these guys, they are like these strength coaches, like even Pavel Tsatsouline and many others, like they're so focused on programming and periodization and all that stuff. Like that's when in reality it's the least important aspect of training the body. Like, of course, the frequency and volume and everything matters, but it's the least important factor when it comes to training. And they are like obsessed with the least important, because they think that somehow when you train this much on these days and then you take a rest week and then you do like the pyramid style where you like go up and then you deload and then that's the secret to how you get the best results, when in reality the training is the most important aspect, and how you do it, like how you said, how you do it, the methods and the principles you apply, and how you develop your body during the training sessions is like hundreds, maybe 10 times more important. And that's what they never talk about.
Yeah, it's like you have the intensity and the volume, and I feel like that's just like everyone is trying to really emphasize what is the correct amount of like repetitions and sets to do and when, like the days like you're explaining. And I feel like that's just, it's simply the intensity and the volume, how much you're doing is just the amount of work. It's like how much, effort are you going to put to something, but it needs to be corrected or it needs to be guided correctly. This is how I feel about it, because if you go to the gym, you can do your 10 repetitions, 10 sets, or 10 sets of 10 repetitions or something for the body, but it doesn't tell about what is actually happening inside the body. So if I'm doing at the gym and I'm just like doing these sets, going through like this way, I don't have any feeding anywhere, I'm just kind of like going through the motions. So everyone realizes that that's not going to produce very good results. So the solution that many people have for that, so that you don't just kind of like be like this way, is to add weight. Because if you have heavy weight, then you're going to have to do some work when you do it. But it still doesn't mean that you have a good form when you're doing it. So you may be using a lot of compensation. You have poor stability. Maybe your joints are kind of a bit out of alignment. So the weight will add intensity like automatically. That's one of the things about why it works, why many people get first results by just increasing weights. That's how I got results in the beginning, because that was the only strategy. But it really isn't sustainable. And there's much better ways, to start to go about it. And especially the more you advance in training, you should add a certain amount of control, mind-muscle connection, stability. You need to understand leverage in the body. You need to understand how to use tempo into exercise and so on and so on. So there's a lot of different strategies other than trying to increase this weight and such. But the main thing is that people are focusing on that pure sort of amount of work, but they don't have any ways to correctly guide that energy that they're putting there to their body. So it needs to be really properly set so that it promotes the body structure, the healthy body structure, and doesn't destroy it, because it's very easy to truly start to cause a lot of wear and tear into your body when you have this ability to use a lot of force, a lot of intensity, but you have no idea how to control that energy in your body.
Yes, and that's the thing. What we want to do is that we want to empower the individual to understand himself or herself through these different methods and principles, because the thing about volume, the thing about frequency, and the thing about everything is because it's all individual. So of course, this set like a cookie cutter, like a workouts and workout templates and schedule, of course it's gonna work. But what's gonna work the best is always the individual approach, because every person is different. Every person has like a different capacity and different recovery and different everything. So you never know like how much the person has to do. But what you can do is that you can teach the person to like understand himself or herself, so he or she can better evaluate how much work he or she can do, and how much work needs to be done. It's completely subjective thing. So like, and how you do it also will change how much work you have to do to get like a certain stimulus or result. So for example, 5 sets that are very well done are way more effective than 10 sets that are poorly done, for example. Like, for example, if you think about it, like if you brush your teeth very badly, you can brush them like 3 times and maybe you get good result. But if you don't do it just really well for 1 time, then once a day is enough. And the same applies to training, like how many sets you need to do depends on how well you do the sets and what is your personal capacity. So that's why like being obsessed about these external criteria, external factors like the programming and the sets and the volume, it's not the best approach. The individual subjective approach is always the best, and how you can help people do that is give them the principles, give them the understanding, and give them the methods to better understand training and better understand themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's so much, if you only try to look at the mechanical sort of like work and which is very external, you have just, counting the numbers. It's not a very reliable way to see what's going on, because everything that you're doing externally has to have a reference internally. Like you need to, or what I'm trying to teach the people is to always to feel the results happen in the body. Because I know for a fact that I can tell a person to do this and this many repetitions, this and this many sets, and there's no assurity at all that this person is going to get any type of results. So it needs to be, well, first of all, of course, I need to teach the quality of doing this exercise, very like specifically what we want to achieve with that, but also trying to convey how to start to feel these results happening in your body. That's the correct way to start feeling it, because that's the only way that you can really tell whether this exercise that you're doing are making or causing any sort of positive like effect there. But like, and this, let's just going back to the squatting that we talk about in the beginning, like people really focus on even the squats. They base their opinion on the squats based on the weights, based on the number of repetitions and everything, when there's so much more to it that you can actually try to get out of the squat. Like you can really apply these principles and methodology that we teach, and which is very individual. You can actually start to tweak the form of the squat. You understand the different exercises, the form in there better. You can start to make these changes in the form that actually suits your body. Because one of the things also that comes, or why I feel like people are overemphasizing certain exercise over another, is that these people have a natural advantage in these exercises. So of course, this person who has a specific body, he can do squats very well. He can do back squats in the perfect way, lift a moderate amount of weight. He's going to start to emphasize that and tell to other people that they can also get the best results. But in many cases, if you find people who emphasizes some particular exercise, they also have a natural advantage in that. So it's not universal. It's not about every people. It's about these specific people for whom it is the most best exercise sometimes. And even for those people, they should be doing multiple. But I feel like that's one of the things that we also emphasize, because we're trying to bring out training knowledge that is not only about some few people. This training knowledge that we always talk about is something that's applicable to pretty much any age group, female, male, to all body structures. So we're on this ground level that anyone can really benefit from when we're trying to bring these universal sort of laws, principles, methods to people.
Yeah, the thing about the squat or any exercise is that what the exercise is not like so relevant. What matters is what is the purpose and what is your intention and what you want to achieve with the given movement. So, for example, if we talk about the different variations and the different weight and the different depth of the exercise, especially when it comes to squat, like it all varies like what you want to achieve with the exercise. For example, if you want to develop the inner thighs, maybe you do the wide version of the squat. And if you want to develop the front quads, then you do the narrow variation of the squat. And likewise, the range of motion, like different range of motions develop the different muscles very differently in different, muscle lengths. So if you want to focus on certain aspect of the body, you can just do like pulsing repetitions or half range of motions, repetitions of the squat. If you want to focus on like certain aspect of the body, and likewise. And the same goes with any other exercise. Like if you want to focus on, for example, because some of the strength coaches out there say like you should only do the exercises, 90 degrees, whatever the exercise. Like if you do bicep curls, you should only do 90 degrees up and then lower down. But that's like completely crazy idea, because I don't even know how they came to that conclusion, because maybe some study showed that the activation is the best when it's like only 90 degrees. But in reality, if you do for example, the bicep curl to 90-degree angle, the first half of the repetition, you will most dominantly focus on the elbow flexors in the forearm muscles right here. So if you always do it like this, then you will mostly focus on developing your forearm elbow flexors. And of course you will train the biceps as well, like the different heads, but not as much as you were to do like the other half of the repetition. So this is a very good exercise that kind of illustrates that different parts of the range will develop the different parts of the muscle in this full range of motion. So that's why you see lots of really high level bodybuilders just doing, bicep curls like this, because they're just focusing on, maybe they focus on the mind-muscle connection and just feeling, the short head of bicep and doing like this and pulse repetitions, because they know how to activate the right spot, and they know the range of motion and the movement they have to do to really engage and stimulate that muscle, and that's why they're doing it that way. So that's why it's crazy to think there's a exact way to do exercise when it comes to range, because different ranges develop their muscles very differently, and even different muscles. So not just the same muscles are developed differently, but their different range can even develop different muscle groups or emphasize them more. So of course you have to have this understanding what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and what is your the weak point in the body that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, it's really baffling how people sometimes come to these restrictive conclusions, because I'm not sure if you are really in tune with your body, you understand the talk about this, the multidimensional nature of the body, maybe you have experience in sports, martial arts or something, how is it possible to still think that it's this one particular variation of an exercise or something is the best? Because like Samuli explained, every single change that or variable that you have, whether it's range of motion, whether it's slight change in the articulation, in your, for example, shoulder abduction or adduction or whatever rotation, that and what kind of range you use, every single variation has a different effect in the body. And it's totally dependent on what is the best exercise. There might be the best exercise for you right now, which is based on what you need to, develop in your body and what kind of the intention that you have. Like if you want to develop specifically the attribute that the back squat develops, then it's the best for that purpose. But any exercise is only, good. It's only optimal in relation to your goals, to the intention that you have, that you would like to achieve from it. You can only judge an exercise based on that. But this range of motion stuff, like it's always full range is the best, is nonsense. But it's something that I followed for a very long time. I thought that that's the way to go, because I didn't understand that it doesn't involve the quality in it. So I was able to use.
And that's the full range of motion, like the thing is very popular in calisthenics and movement. Like
incredible.
People are doing like whatever, like as much range of motion as possible.
Yeah, as much stretch as you can, like to every area. And I mean, it has, of course, there's a phase where you should, also do that type of training. You need to explore these, end ranges.
And open the body,
Yeah, to open up the body like that way. But it's, you don't have to stay at that level forever. There's specific training where you can kind of move up from there. Once you have those ranges and everything, you have a good body, you can really find much more detailed way to develop the body. You can just use small range. And sometimes I've had, for example, muscles where, it can be just tiny movement is how I'm able to activate it. Or to almost like static motions. People some do isometrics. There's no range at all in a way in that. Or there can be a range where you stop the arm, but you're not moving it through any range. And so this kind of exercise also are very good. And like I said in the beginning, that I feel it's irresponsible to spread this type of information, because I feel that, especially through my own experience, I followed this type of advice in the beginning, and it led me on a worse path. So I developed even more problems in my body when I started to listen to this. And I didn't know any other option. I didn't see an option. I didn't see where I could take it. I didn't have any alternative. And so I feel like it keeps people at where they are. It keeps people from really opening up their full potential in their body. And it's just a bad advice in that sense. It doesn't really tell about the full potential of our body or the abilities that we have. I really want to bring to people and make people understand just how much different varieties and possibilities their body have. And I think this is really completely contrary, this idea of having this one particular exercise that you should be doing that does not take into any consideration your individuality. It doesn't take into any consideration these internal principles that we have been trying to spread for a very long time. So there's a lot of problems that come with that type of attitude, and it tells about this, I think, this bigger picture of, probably a lot of like ego training, trying to, because the heavy weights are usually almost always attached to that sort of like a bit detrimental approach.
Yeah, when I see, like, if I watch some YouTube, sometimes I get mad because I see some really big, like, YouTube guys, like in the fitness and strength training. They always have the best exercise for shoulder health or something like that. And they always have, the rotator cuff exercise. And like, that is so old, because when I had like the shoulder problems, I don't have any problems anywhere in the body for many years right now. But when I had shoulder problems, like over 5 years ago, 6, 7, probably 7 years ago, even I read these articles and watched these YouTube videos, and they were saying like, just do this rotator cuff external rotation exercise, but without realizing that in my case, the external rotation and rotator cuff was not even slightly a problem at all. Like, my external rotation was super strong, and it was even stronger because I did it for like 1 year straight. So that's why it can be even detrimental, because you see this even, you notice helping like fix exercises for mobility and for injuries, like even them can be detrimental and dangerous because they don't like, they have no like regard for you individually at all. And for maybe for 50% of the people, the exercise may help if they have the same problem with the, for example, rotator cuff, but a lot of people, it just make everything worse.
Because, yeah, this is when it comes to like the exercise that fix pain, like it's very common to have this one solution.
Yeah, like YouTube is like full of, clickbait, just do this.
And it's so bad because it's like, it shows that the exercise, often it's like it can show the exercise and it may not even though the person doing the exercise may be doing something correctly in that corrective exercise, it doesn't even know how to like really explain how to do this exercise. So, and then people are like thankful, they're like really like, I found it, this is good, but they get the sort of vague understanding of the drill to try to execute themselves, and they may not even be doing it correctly. And it's taken off the internet, this like single exercise that you think will be the answer, which most of the cases, maybe you then like Samuli just obsess over it, like external rotation, just doing it like over and over at time, and it creates this like a feeling that you're doing something good for the sake of your body. But I had the same. I was trying to, at some point, like years ago, try to find like why my shoulder is in pain or something, and it totally drew me the wrong direction. Because the real reason even for the problems that I was having was my entire training. It wasn't that I was not doing one fixing accessory mobility exercise. That was not the reason I was having problems, that I didn't have this one good exercise to fix my shoulder. The reason why I was experiencing everything was almost everything, my entire approach into training, there was something wrong with it on a fundamental level. I didn't know how to really even control my shoulder movement in the first place. Not to talk, even mention about external or rotation, internal or external rotation. I noticed at a certain point, I was not able to even rotate my shoulder internally in a very pure manner. I was not able to do this type of motion in my shoulder. How crazy is that? But I've met people who also have trouble doing that. But there was also, of course, other things as well, like the stability of the shoulder blades. But there's always more to it. And, that's why like trying to bring like this holistic approach, really trying to bring this holistic approach and trying to get also I really want to like activate people as well, become more independent. Like someone also talk about this, like become more sovereign. Because in the end, like, in a fixing, if I'm going to help you to fix your body, I'm going to help you to become more knowledgeable about yourself, help you to understand your own body better. Because you're going to be the one who's going to fix the body, not me, not the exercise. It's going to be like you. So that's why there's the level of knowledge and the advice needs to be on a different level than just repeat what I'm doing, do this one drill that's going to do it. Because I know that can have some benefits, it can help a bit, but it's still very random. Like it's like tossing a coin. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, and the problem with everything is always that people listen to people they understand, and the problem is that what you understand is the problem. Your lack of understanding is the problem that is causing you problems. Like for example, if you want to fix your body, you shouldn't be focused on so much of these people who have broken every joint in their body and fix them through surgeries and stuff. You should be focused on people who don't have any problems in their body, because they are probably training better and their understanding of body is probably much better as well. And that's like, I think that's one of the main things about this podcast this time, is that the problem is that people lack the understanding and they lack the intuition. And of course, I had the same problem in the beginning as well. Like I didn't understand what was going on in my body and I didn't even care. Like I was so obsessed, I was so focused on lifting the heaviest weight possible, reaching the most impressive skill imaginable and so on. So I didn't even somehow I was completely out of touch with my body and out of touch with everything that actually matters. Like now I know what's valuable and what is not, but before I was just it was all ego driven.
Yes, I have to say, like nowadays, not me, not even Samuli, like I don't have any sort of like preference regards to like, or this kind of, I really don't even care really about these exercises specifically, because exercises, they can be created for any purpose you want. You can, like there's millions of them and so on. So that hasn't been really even the focus. Of course, it's practical. You have an exercise, you have a specific form and such, but as I've been explaining, the exercises are only valuable in relation to the methodology that you apply into them, the approach that you have, the control quality and understanding and the intention that you have. The exercises in isolation, they really don't have any definite value. Like honestly, like you can do like whatever exercise that you want to be doing, but if you don't have the understanding of how to properly utilize that, it's not going to create almost anything. So it has changed gradually from that trying to find this exercise or that exercise and doing that exercise which is best for this or that muscle, to just completely like going away from that, like completely moving away from that, and really utilizing and treating exercises as just complete tools. Like exercises, same as the amount of weight, like we've been talking about, exercises and the amount of weight are only these tools, and you need to just learn to utilize those to the best of your ability so that they actually promote the well-being of your body. But for many people, it's turned upside down. So instead of the exercise being the tool, you become the tool to make these exercises somehow, or to serve these exercises. You are the tool to lift the heaviest amount of weight or something. And people are like reducing themselves into this, I feel like, in this aspect. Because you need to understand you're your own person. You don't need to judge and value yourself based on the amount of weight. You don't need to judge yourself based on whatever exercise, the skills you're able to do or something like that. So I feel like to really get rid of this debate or something is to just actually step away from it completely, because it's not even a fruitful plane. There shouldn't be a debate in the first place, because like we've been saying, there's no best or worst exercise. It's only good in relation to what kind of intentions you have. So you need to...
No best range of motion.
Yeah, no best... Exactly. Like the range of motion is one of the major things that people have. Like still, I see it all the time.
And no best weight either. Like the higher amount is not better.
Range, weight, exercise, all of those three are something that's totally dependent on, your subjective understanding of the quality of what you're doing.
And what you want to achieve.
What you want to achieve. So, I'm not sure. I suppose that's most of it. Or do you have something you feel like you want to still open up about the subject?
Yeah, I had some good idea, but I just lost my train of thought.
There's comes something in their mind, then you keep listening, and then it goes away. But
it's coming. It's coming. The train is coming.
Train is coming.
Yes. Yeah. What I was about to say is that the problem is in it, like you said, the low standards, really low standards regarding you as like a human being and as a mover and as an athlete.
Right.
Like there's this thing, it's just low standards. That's exactly what is it. It's being also proud regarding like destroying yourself. Like if you listen to Louis Simmons, and if you listen to people who like him and so on, they're proud that they're so training so hard and they're going so hard and they are so tough that their whole body is destroyed. And I just don't like that anymore. I don't want to be part of that scene like one bit. Like I don't take any pride in like hurting myself. Like I'm not a masochist in that way at all. Like yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's one of the reasons, because I was wondering also, like, why would someone want to cause that to their body? But for some way, it becomes through some
like
sort of...
Yeah, it gives some meaning.
Identity, it becomes like identity. And because You cannot it's impossible to get away from that feeling of the value that the amount of weight or lifting gives you. Like these people really tie their entire worth into lifting the heavy weights. So of course it is, if it's so important, maybe then it is more important to you than the health of your body, but which I suppose makes sense for some people, but for me that has really never made any sense to sacrifice the health of my body, the feeling that is inside my body for this kind of matters. And it's especially because it's not required to get results. Like this, some people
that's the thing, because not just in training, but in life in general, people think that if you want to achieve something, if you want to do something, you have to sacrifice something valuable to do it. Yeah. But in reality, if you raise your standards and bring yourself to this much higher, thought level and this wavelength, then this sacrifice thing, it's no longer part of the game. Like, it's possible to have everything you want without sacrificing the most important aspects of yourself in the process. Like, you don't have to hurt yourself, you don't have to sacrifice your values, you don't have to do any of those things. Like, everything that you want to do, you can do it in a pure and clean way. And that's one thing what we want to do regarding training and everything, is that we move forward, we bring this body machine to the highest level and mind as well, and we do it in a clean, sustainable way. Yeah,
it's like the ultimate respect for the body, I'd say.
Yeah.
All right, so that was it. We got through the debate and we got out of it, and hopefully maybe this also raises some discussion in the comments, the experience that you've had about this, or some, maybe you have some insight as well, so you can comment down below. It would be great to have you also join this discussion. But that was the podcast, and thanks for joining, everyone.